by many countries. Well, to start with, this is Fred Fisher, who was killed winning the award during the gas attack at Ypres in 1915. He set up his machine gun and tried to stem the onslaught of the Germans on their breakthrough. Colonel Clark Kennedy, he was sent to take command of our old friends, the 24th Victoria Rifles, and it was while he was in command of them that he was awarded the Victoria Cross. Denison on Fisher's right was a young Dane. He came out to this side of the water thinking to join the Americans, but he landed up here in Montreal and joined the reinforcing company we were forming at that time. Up on the left is Milton Gregg, and every Canadian knows who Gregg is. He was an original private in our 1st Battalion, the 13th, then got his commission, went to the Royal Canadian Regiment, and won his VC with the Royal Canadian Regiment. The other two, Corporal Good and Private Crook, were awarded the cross for their gallantry at the Battle of Amiens. One of them was killed, and the other, Corporal Good, only died within recent months almost, down in New Brunswick. Those were our 6 VCs, and to commemorate their gallantry, we also have 6 tablets out on the drill floor, one for each of them.
For Canadians who left 60,000 maple leaf headstones in the cemeteries of France and Belgium in the First War, it must have seemed an incredibly short 21 years, and we were at war again with the old enemy of 1918. The spectacular invasion of the Normandy beaches in 1944 had been preceded by long, dark days training in England, preparing for their invasion of Hitler's Festung Europa, Fortress Europe. Watch, Royal Highland Regiment of Canada, spent nearly 4 frustrating years were learned at Dieppe that would later save lives on the Normandy beaches. For the survivors of Dieppe, there would be another fight, another day. But for now, it was back to the South Downs of England and still more training.
All the Allied forces in England became offensive-minded. We switched completely from a defensive role in the south of England to more active training on operations relating to attack and invasion. Equipment became much more plentiful. Training with tanks was begun. Combined operations were begun. And our battalion spent its winters in the south of England training in these roles, and the summers pretty much in Scotland on combined assault training. We had a very strong team, a first-class, top-notch battalion. The teamwork and the comradeship and the spirit within it couldn't have been better, but there was some impatience. After a number of years, we began to wonder whether D-Day would ever come. Black Watch was part of the 2nd Canadian Division, whose chief role throughout the war in Northwest Europe was to break out of the bridgehead formed by others. We went into the beachhead some weeks after D-Day, and our responsibility, the divisional responsibility, was to break out of the beachhead and set up the basis for what turned out to be the Battle of Falaise and the ensuing battles in that part of the country. That was so later on in the crossing of the Rhine, and it was so at any operation where a beachhead had to be established or an assault crossing had to be made, succeeded by a breakout. It was a fluid type of warfare compared to World War I, and yet it was road-bound. It was fluid. It moved across all types of country, from beachheads to open fields, through the capture of small towns and cities, the crossing of tidal estuaries, which was one of our specialties, such as the Seine or the Rhine, by day or by night, fighting through woods like the Hochwald or the Reichswald, the great mass of barns and supplies and logistics that won the war generally had to come up